Welcome to yet another episode of Success Principles by Successful Principals, a dialogue on parenting. My name is Kamalneet Singh. I'm a TEDx speaker, an author, and a mindset coach. Not just that, I'm also your host and also the host. Your host in your parenting journey and the host of this interview series. I firmly believe that every father is a superman and every mother a superwoman, and conscious parenting is their true superpower. Ask any parent कि आपको क्या चाहिए? What do you really want? And all parents have to say this: I want my kids to be happy, I want my kids to be successful, and I want my kids to be good human beings. Now I understand that while parenting is a very fulfilling journey, it can also be challenging. And one of the objectives, the primary objective of this parenting series is to help you meet educators from different parts of the country and the world and have their insights, their experience to help you on your parenting journey. And on this episode today, we have a fantastic educator. We have with us Miss Mukta Bakshi, the principal of MANGALAM, FARIDABAD, a seasoned educator, a fantastic educator with almost 30 years of experience. She's worked in India and she's worked in the UAE, Botswana, somebody who has an extensive experience with different boards, somebody who is a firm believer of Indian root system of learning, the Gurukul system, at the same time believes in giving modern exposure to the students. Somebody who is a very versatile personality, somebody who has been a curriculum designer, has looked into curriculums, somebody who has worked on training the teachers, as an administrator, a very versatile personality. She firmly believes that if as an educator we can keep students at the center, we can make a huge difference. And I am really glad that we have such an educator with us on this episode today. Welcome to this episode, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation with you. Thank you for taking your time for this, and I'm sure this is going to make a huge difference to the parents. And I'm very, very excited to have my list of questions that I've come with, ask all of that to you.
Thank you for having me on this episode because, being able to discuss students and, what their learning entails with people who are of a similar thought process is always a pleasure. So thank you for having me here.
So let's dive in. Let's get into the Q&A.
Absolutely.
And success can mean different things to different people. So I'm very excited, curious to know that how would you define success? What is your definition?
I think every educator who has a passion for understanding the value that education adds to the life of a student would define success as the achievement of the student's learning outcomes. And for me personally, success can be defined as an outcome of what my students learn. So for me, any child who's under my mentorship from point A to point B, that's success.
So I think that movement from point A to point B, that's success. And then it's centrally, the way I see it's focused on your kids. So very kid-centric is how I see this.
Absolutely. As having students as the center of the functioning of the school and the purpose why one is an educator, that is very, very important.
I like that definition, and the best part for me stands out is that you did not really define that it has to be a massive movement. It has to move. The needle must move from point A to point B.
Right. It is very, very important for all educators and even parents for that matter to understand that achievement is not worth celebration. What is worth celebration is progress. And anybody who can focus on progress rather than the academic achievement of marks, which is the so-called definition of success in the times we were there in school. I think that shift has to come.
True.
And the moment we're able to bring that shift around as educators, as parents, as a part of the community, I think we've all succeeded.
Fantastic. I'm saying it on camera, I'm stealing that from you. So we don't have to really celebrate achievements. We must celebrate progress. All the parents out there, I think if you really have to note something down, this is the one. Start celebrating progress, and don't just wait for achievements to happen. When you start celebrating progress, you will eventually end up celebrating achievements.
Absolutely. I think you summed it up so beautifully.
Fantastic. So, going forward and building on success. Now, it can mean different things to parents. They have something in their mind about all parents want their kids to be successful. Now, what is it that makes a child successful in the real life? What does it take?
I think it's a question very well asked. Especially in today's time and age when, academics is not the only tool for measuring success. The real life is so much more. It is so much more in terms of the skill sets that a child needs to have. The social skills that we need to develop, along the way is we are no longer a part of a small community, We're a global community now, and we've got to prepare our child to be able to deal with the global world. So I often tell my parents and my students and staff that we are looking at developing global citizens. And global citizenship is about accepting differences. And if we are able to teach our children to be able to accept differences, to be able to, be one in thought, is mind, in challenge, in problem solving, in collaboration. Those are things that will help us survive in this life.
That's beautifully put. And when you said that marks is not the only parameter to measure success, I felt like saying the answers alone, right? I'll repeat that. I think all the parents out there, as much as we understand the need for holistic development, but somehow there's a lot of focus on academics. They are important, not saying they are not.
Absolutely. It has to be balanced.
There has to be a balance. There has to be a balance. I'm glad we spoke about social skills and a lot of other things. And it's time that we look at the global picture. And that's what we are focusing on.
Absolutely. And in our school, we especially look at that. Developing global citizenships is a must. Because we are no longer, preparing our children to compete in the job market. Just in a state or in a district. Our students should be well equipped to handle a job interview in which probably a competitor comes from the United States or from Japan or from wherever. So a child from my school or from my mentorship should be able to confidently sit in that job interview and say, yes, I can do every single thing that the other person can do. And in order for us to equip our children to be able to have that confidence, it is important that we look at preparing global citizens.
So that's the message. That's a crucial message, I think, coming out. I while I hear you, I also see that your whole perspective is coming from global because you work global.
Yes.
And as I was discussing earlier, that you have been you have served in India, you have worked in the UAE, you have worked in Botswana. So that probably leads me to the next one to ask you. You worked with thousands of parents across different, the global is what we're at. Like, what did you see? Do you notice some non-supportive parenting patterns? Something that's not very supportive in the parenting journeys? Anything that you have noticed?
See, Kamalneet, it's not non-supporting, I would say. It is a cultural mindset, because every culture and every parenting style has a background from how they were brought up when they were children.
Okay.
So, and of course, the traditional ways of parenting have been very, very different in different parts of the world. Right from when I was working in Botswana, caning was one thing that was acceptable, but cut to when I moved to the UAE, that was not the way it was. So the cultural mindset plays a very strong role. I wouldn't say non-supportive, but I would say that the parenting style needs to evolve with the time and generation that they are dealing with. We can't expect children of today. I would say majority of them are in nuclear families, were probably being given every single thing they asked for right from the time they started speaking, or even before that, for that matter. And we can't suddenly expect them to accept the parenting style that our parents followed for us, because ours was a do's and don'ts in the house, and we have to follow a certain structure. I remember if my father said no for something, there was no second question. Right? It's done.
It's done.
It's done. However, today's child is taught and encouraged to ask questions. And if they ask you why not, you shouldn't be offended. So the parenting has to evolve. It has to change. And it is definitely cultural to, the basics that I have worked with. But I think it's evolving. It's evolving, and parents are more receptive to attending parenting sessions, taking workshops, attending master classes to understand how best they can do it, which wasn't the time in the olden times. So, yeah.
Which is a good job, I think. All the parents are that's
absolutely.
And you have referred to there has to be an involvement in the whole process. So I will bring back to you, because now that you're serving the Indian parents majorly, anything that you think that they have to probably reconsider in their parenting ways, maybe anything?
Well, I would like to firstly congratulate the younger set of parents, I would say, because they are making an effort to change the definition of parenting. So well done on that. Yes, there has to be, I think, a change in the mindset where parents need to be a little more receptive. Our children are already exposed to a lot of information. They understand their rights. They understand it very well. And
I'm not getting into the duties part.
Yes, well, the duties is yet to sink in, but they understand their rights. And I think our parents need to also respect the individuality of the child. Pride and self-respect. I'm not saying the pride in the wrong definition, but that self-respect. Even a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old has, and is well aware of it. So parents need to understand that. Parents need to, find a more supportive, corrective method rather than a punishment or a consequence to a certain action. And I think collaborating with schools and educators to understand that it is a two-way exercise is really going to be something which is going to be a game changer.
And I think that word game changer was on my mind.
Yeah.
No, parents out there, I think if we come together and if the parents and the schools can come together, that will change everything. I think we all have to understand that we are on the same side of the table. We don't sit across, we are on the same side.
Right. I continue to say that to the parents and, my parent community, that, for both of us is the child at the center and we are on the same side. What we need to understand is that if we work together, we'll be able to support the child even in a better dimension than if we start having that brain game and be, whose fault it was exercise, because that is really not going to benefit anybody.
I think that probably leads me to my next one. I think that's going to be helpful.
Right.
And we are mushkil on it.
Okay.
So as you said, on almost 3 decades of experience, and which is a long experience. Now, if you have to pull out one from each decade, not specifically in timelines,
right,
but in general around decades, may say, we'll have to 3 parenting suggestions or advices from 3 decades of seeing parents. What would those be? You must make a note of this.
Well, that is a tough one. See, I think I respect the parenting styles of all the 3 decades. Hats off to all those parents who have handled this difficult job of parenting. But if what comes to my mind immediately is that respect to elders was one of the mantra of parenting in the first decade that I would talk about. And there was a lot of stress and importance that was given to values, whether it was within the family, whether it was a teacher, whether it was a adult who you had met in the society. Those values were fantastically ingrained into the children. And I still remember when I started my career as a kindergarten teacher, my first day in the classroom, I had this boy students come and touch my feet. And I thought that was amazing. That was amazing.
You spoke of the values that he carried.
Yeah, and I think the school and the parents played a role together in that, because it couldn't have happened otherwise. And that generation or that decade of my students today are, into the job market. And very recently, I got a message from one of the students saying that, ma'am, thank you for what you've done for us. And I had taught that boy in kindergarten. So
that's a legacy.
That's a legacy. And those children remember. And even today, they respect and they acknowledge the contribution I made as a kindergarten teacher. So I think that parenting is fantastic. So values was something that I could celebrate at that point of time. And then because I moved to work in the international market after that, what I could bring back from there was that there was a lot of respect given to the students. So you see how the things changed. The students' opinion mattered,
It wasn't about how could he or how could she.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was about the children being able to voice themselves. And I think that's important, because if we are expecting our children to be able to express themselves when they become adults and, take a stand for themselves in the society, we have to teach them. And that is something I think it was beautiful that I took away. And of course, now it's a different ballgame altogether, because our children already know a lot.
Okay.
Information as there at the click of a button.
True.
What I would, relate to now, and what I would recommend our parents also, is to be able to explain the why. Why are we doing what we are doing? The reasoning behind things that are happening. It is, there's a lot of information available. Sometimes it's incorrect information. So to be able to,
a lot of times.
A lot of times. And to be able to teach our children to differentiate between that information, what is genuine and what isn't, and not to be able to get carried away with that incorrect information. I think that's one parenting advice that I would give the parents. Don't block them off from information. Don't cordon off. Don't just say a no to the information. There is information. They're going to get access to it no matter what.
Hearing you, what comes to my mind is that, these conversations sometimes between the parents, then the parent says, and a parent says no, and the child is asking as to why.
Exactly.
And the parent says, I'm your father.
Yeah, because I say so.
Because I say so.
Absolutely.
I think the ones watching who probably experience this should be careful. And I think that makes a lot of sense. What you do, how you do, that gets substantiated with why we are saying. That will make a lot of difference.
It does, because our children work on reasoning nowadays. The more you reason with them, and the more you allow them to understand why something is not easy for them, they won't do it.
And they will open up.
They'll open up. They'll start thinking in that direction. Probably they will go and, advise a peer also, make it able to become a mentor for another classmate or another friend in the school or in the society. But if they don't know the why, and they just blindly are told not to do something, they're definitely.
I think living this, hearing you, it might open up a lot of realizations that why do something like this and why we shouldn't.
Absolutely.
And probably once they realize, they might go around positively influencing their peers. I think we should stop doing something.
Absolutely.
That makes sense.
And it's a chain effect, because then we are contributing to the society. They're making a difference at their little level.
Correct.
In making an impact.
It does. And that one conversation with somebody sometimes can have a lasting impact. Fantastic. So, things have kind of changed, and especially last couple of years, things have really taken a different turn is how I see. I'm referring to COVID. COVID happened, and then how we saw kids before COVID and how we see kids post-COVID. Things have changed. So I wanted to know from your experience, what changes have you noticed with kids post-pandemic, and what are some challenges that you have been observing post-pandemic? Maybe on an emotional level, maybe on a mental level, maybe on how they were and how they are, maybe the gap there.
Lots of changes in that aspect. Emotional, of course, they were cordoned off in lockdown. Maybe some of them did not have access to the social life or the peer circle that they were ready to have, and that physical proximity to be socializing amongst your peers has a different impact altogether. So emotionally, yes, there were a lot of challenges when the children resumed into the physical mode. But other than that, the positives I would say is that they got a lot of time to spend with their family. Parents were not able to spend the quality time with their children, got an opportunity to do that. So many of them were thrilled about it. Many of them were excited that they were able to spend time with their parents, get to know their parents better. They were able to build a relationship and bond, that was way not probably there before the pandemic struck. But what I realized was that the digital mode of learning did take away a lot of skill set that the children would have otherwise developed. For example, writing. It's a huge challenge. I'm sure, all schools are facing it across. And to get them to sit back and write, hold a writing tool and write has been a challenge. When it's been a challenge, we are working on even today. It has to be like a unlearn and relearn kind of a process that we are working on, and we're making progress there. But that was something I think was one of the key highlights of it, because everyone wanted to get into digital note. They are comfortable typing, they're comfortable, using
keypads.
The slang.
Yes.
They don't want to write complete sentences. They want to use short forms and things like that. So I think what we have mindfully done is we've mindfully planned lessons that have a very blended approach, where we give equal time and importance to writing per se. And it's not only writing in the notebooks. We do a lot of, pen pals. We do a lot of letter writing to, their peers across, so we have the house system. We do it that way. We do it through the teachers.
So that's how you're bridging the gap.
Yes.
But how would you look at something which is on an emotional plane? How would you see it? Probably in behavior, on an emotional plane, or something along those lines? Any observations?
Yes. We did have a couple of children who reported back with social anxiety. That was a challenge we did face. They were more comfortable in their own little coop that they had created for themselves, and for them to come back to the regular routine and be around a group of students, that was a challenge. So consciously we planned collaborative projects. We plan for collaborative learning opportunities within the classroom. We don't push the children, but we do a very gradual, smooth entry into those collaborative experiences. There's a concept called learning menus that we do in the classrooms, where we allow children to select the kind of activity that they wish to do through that menu. It's like a...
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, so it's a more pedagogical approach, where the menu entails activities that have been broken into like a restaurant menu. So you've got dessert, you've got main course, and you've got a starter.
That sounds like a full buffet to me.
Buffet, yeah. So it's a buffet of learning activities that are designed to meet the same learning objective. And it is a combination of individual activities, collaborative activities, and blended learning. And we allow the children to make their choice. So if I am still not comfortable in that social setting and I would like to learn individually through an activity that I'd like to pick, the children are allowed to do that. Of course,
flexibility.
Of course, the teacher guides them and facilitates that kind of an approach where we encourage children to gradually move into the collaborative experience, but we don't push them, because that doesn't help, right? Of course, the counselors and the whole team of educators work alongside. So that was a challenge we had faced, and I think I can very proudly say that we've succeeded in bringing all children back to their routine into the regular classroom structure.
Hats off to you.
Thank you. My team.
Yeah, I think the team at MANGALAM, FARIDABAD has done an excellent job with that, and it takes a lot of effort. And I have something on mind which is a little, out of the context that I would like to ask you.
Sure.
How things were and how things are could be different from how things would be in the future.
Yeah.
The landscape of change is looking at us all the time. I think, as they say, cliche, changes.
Absolutely.
Things will be changing from here on. Now, what skills should kids be learning today so that it also helps them when they're out in the real world? So what kind of things should they learn today?
So I think I take it back to the previous question that you asked me about the real, handling the real world.
Correct.
I think all educators will agree with me. We are preparing our children for a job market we know nothing of. Right? We don't know the kind of jobs that will be there 10 years from now. But what we know is that it will definitely require them to think critically, to problem solve, to think out of the box, to be able to, deal with people of different temperament, different nature, stress handling, time management. So these are the basics that will be there for sure. Irrespective of what kind of job market offers. Technology, with the artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, and so many other tools coming in, we will have to, supersede that in our intellect. So, the real intelligence has to supersede the artificial intelligence.
And I think it will.
It will, because that's where we have to prepare them. And that's where I think all educators in all schools need to work together. And I think I would like to add the new education policy 2020 that has been framed is so beautifully done. I think keeping the same purpose in mind. that what are we preparing our students for, and all the skills that are defined in that. Beautifully done.
I think hats off to the policymakers and taking that effort to create it. And I think what I love what you said, that human intelligence has to supersede artificial intelligence, and together, you and us, I think we have to do it together.
It has to be a collaborative exercise.
There's something that you mentioned there, that really stood out for me, that we will be working with people of different temperaments, different thinking, different ways of looking at life. And if the touching on the parenting aspect of it, that if our kids, they see us as parents, ki haan, hamare parents bhi mein, they deal with different types of people.
Yeah.
And yet they accept them the way they are. I think that will also be, I see, as a role modeling happening.
Right.
That's what we expect them to do.
Right.
I think so. That's great.
So celebrating differences is something that needs to be done every single day. The difference could be in intellect, it could be in size, it could be in appearance, it could be in anything. But being able to celebrate those differences, being able to work together in harmony, being able to respect each other's culture and thoughts, and agree to disagree.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's important. Very often I, in my tenures, have come across adults who don't like to be told something, For example, taking somebody else's opinion for what it is, it's not everybody's cup of tea. They get offended very quickly.
Very easy.
Very easy. Leadership is another thing that I feel our children need to be taught very early. Leadership is no longer about dictatorship. We need to make our children understand that leadership is a responsibility.
Give a message.
It's not authority. It's a tough job.
Yes.
Being a leader is it's a lot of responsibility on your shoulder, because you're setting example. I'm very often asked by my team, "Ma'am, why do you arrive so early? You're here before us." I said, I have to role model. I have to be there because I am defining to you what is expected of you. So I don't mind. It's just about a couple of minutes waking up early in the morning, before my time. But if I don't model it for you all, you won't model it for my students.
I think that's an important message. And I think I see from a parenting perspective as well, that anything that we demand of our kids,
we must model it.
We must model it.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, they will come and running, how about you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They ask if you don't do it, then why are you asking me to do it?
I see you as a fantastic role. I think hearing you, I see a lot of practices that you implement, different ideas of thinking, and a very progressive approach to learning and teaching at MANGALAM FARIDABAD. And it's brilliant. So you had a massive journey, 3 decades, different continents, different geographies, different goals, different nationalities, different ways of thinking, and you started as a teacher and you worked through the ground up and different roles, and you are a very successful educator and a leader. So tell us आपके personal mantras में we dive in.
Sure.
A few mantras that you becoming successful.
I like just being myself, keeping students at the center of what I do, why I do. I became an educator because I'm very, very passionate about making a difference. And I feel every single evening when I retire today, I reflect and I ask myself, what value did I add today?
That's a powerful question to ask.
And if I'm not able to answer that to my satisfaction for that day, I don't get a good night's sleep.
So imagine that you are on a huge microphone.
Okay.
And you have this huge audience. All of that is the youth, the students of today. And it's an opportunity for you to give 3 messages that you hold very closely to your heart. And you want to give these 3 messages to all the students out there. What were those?
Firstly, of course, I would want to tell them, be yourself. There is no need for you to be somebody else. The youth of today is so engrossed in following somebody else's trend, and they fall into that trap, lose their identity sometimes, and in that process become a part and parcel of something that they are not.
True. I wish somebody had told me this.
So my message would be, be yourself. You are wonderful. You are the true reflection of what your soul represents. And stay that way. Yes, in the process, learn and enhance on your strengths. Try and work around those challenges that you face. Develop a personality that will enable you empower you and make you someone who can stand for themselves in the world. But just continue to be yourself. Never lose that.
Beautiful. Yeah. I really wish somebody had told me this when I was young. I'm still young, but
Yeah, you are.
Younger back then in the school life. I think brilliant. What would be your second one for them?
Second one, of course, would be learn to accept criticism, because you are going to face that in the world.
Awesome.
In the real world, not everybody is going to come and put for you on your platter, and you're not going to hear all the goody things that, often the protective environment tells us that we are. So learn to accept that, learn to take that in your stride, learn to find ways and solutions to overcome those challenges that, probably brought about that criticism, and deal with it. Resilience is something that we all need to develop. And I think the sooner we do that, the sooner we work on ourselves to bounce back, that's going to be helpful for us.
I love the words, bounce back.
Yeah. So that's the second that I would say. And third, of course, would be keep to your values. We are a culture that has amazing values, a culture that brings people together, brings harmony, brings a lot of peace. I think the international world is adapting and taking things from our culture.
Correct.
And we are losing it. And somehow our youth needs to understand that modernization does not mean losing out on your roots. So keep that.
Hold your values closely is
Absolutely.
I think beautiful messages. Let me see if my elements are working. So be very crucial. Learn to deal with criticism. And I love what you said, that you are going to face it. I think let's face it.
Yeah.
And you're going to face criticism. So learn to deal with it.
Learn to deal with it.
And stick to your roots, stick to your values.
Mm-hmm.
I think very profound messages. I think if this lands well in the heads and hearts of our youth, it will make a profound difference, and I'm very sure it will.
It will. I'm very confident of my youth. They are already aware of a lot. They have their head on their shoulders. They are able to, come up with some brilliant approaches and ideas to what problems the world is facing today. And I think if they are guided in the right direction, they can do amazing. They can really bring out that 360-degree turn that we require. And I'm confident, and I'm really looking forward to them making that difference.
I'm sure, and I think we'll look back and we'll probably enjoy the fact that, that they really made a difference.
I'm sure.
So now, I want to bring a change around here.
Right.
And they say that the principles, people don't get to know principles closely because the structure is as such that parents would probably come 6-7 times a year for the PTMs, and there are limited interactions. So then why not create something wherein people can get to know principles on a semi-formal, and I call it Know Your Principle. So I'm going to be running you through a rapid fire. These are simple ones. And without thinking much, let's have an answer coming out.
Right.
So let's dive into Know Your Principles. Summers or winters?
Summers.
Mountains or beaches?
Beaches.
Beaches. I think they're pretty quick at it. I'll get into the food part of it.
There.
So, Indian or Chinese?
Chinese.
Chinese. Chole bhature. This could be difficult.
Okay.
Chole bhature or aloo paratha?
Aloo paratha.
English or maths?
English.
Confidence or knowledge?
Confidence.
Phone call or a text?
A phone call.
Sunrise or sunset?
Sunrise.
Facebook or LinkedIn?
None.
So this goes out of the criteria. Then, okay. So Bollywood or Hollywood?
Bollywood.
Big party or a small gathering?
A small family gathering.
Shopping online or offline?
Online.
Online. Okay.
I don't get the time to go offline.
But let's say you have enough time. Then online or offline?
Offline.
Email or a handwritten letter?
Handwritten letter.
Sweets or savories?
Saving.
Saving or spending?
Saving.
A horror movie or a comedy?
Comedy.
Comedy. Okay. A board game or a game of mobile?
Board game.
And more of kinesthetic and...
Absolutely. Plus, I think a board game gives you a chance to interact with the people. And
this is more of a solo.
Yes.
Book or ebook?
Book.
Favorite movie?
None. I don't have a favorite as such, but
Any movie that you have a liking for, or probably you?
all comedies.
All comedies. Any book which is your favorite, or any book that you kind of like?
None, I would say, because I read for pleasure and then I move on.
So that helps us know a principle better. And you did a fantastic job.
Thank you. I tried my best.
And I thoroughly enjoyed the whole conversation with you. It has been quite a pleasure. I was hosting and I was also learning at the same time, and truly enjoyed the conversation. Your vision for education, your vision of going in and making a difference, I think all of that stood out for me. And thank you very much. Looking forward to many more conversations. And all the viewers out there, all the parents out there, they say that knowledge is power, but applied knowledge is bigger power, and I wish that you got a lot of gems today. And I really hope that you can, apply them and make a difference in your life, in the life of your kids, because parenting is a journey that everybody is on independently, and it can be very different. And we wish to make this journey for you a loving one. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.